So what happens after a batter's actually hit the baseball? In this video, I'll share with you the variety of ways that a baseball can be hit and the results that it can produce.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me in my channel Brutus on Baseball. In this video, we're going to dive into the world of getting hits. What are the different types of hits? And what happens after a batter's actually hit the ball into fair territory? In previous videos, we talked about the general structure of the game, and we touched on the duel between the batter and the pitcher. This video is going to be all about explaining what happens after the batter is actually able to hit the ball. And as I've said before, we need to grow this channel, and I need your help to do it. So please take that moment right now, hit the like button, hit the notification button, subscribe, check out my other videos, and share it directly with anybody that you think would enjoy it. And with that, let's dig into the concept of getting hits and play ball. We covered in previous videos that the batter stands in the batter's box. This is adjacent to home plate, where he's going to swing the bat and try to hit a ball that's pitched by the pitcher. Now, if he's able to actually hit the ball into fair territory, this is where we're going to explore what happens next. There are a number of different types of hits that happen, and I'm going to go into those from the smallest type of hit to the largest type of hit. Before we do that real quick, by definition, a hit is something that lands in fair territory. So if foul balls, we're not really talking about that here. So the different types of hits, the smallest. The bunt is the first one. This is actually where a batter turns to face the pitcher squarely and holds the bat out in front of him to receive the pitch as it comes. There's no swing happening here. He's just going to let the pitch come to the bat, and the bat, if it hits the ball will then bounce not very far away from the batter. This is very strategic usually, and you don't see it as often in baseball these days, but it's usually because they find a hole in the defense. They think that the runner can actually make it to first before they can go pick up the ball when it's hit so close. The next type of hit has the same outcome as a bunt, where the ball bounces not very far away from the batter. But in this case, it's a full swing, and the batter just couldn't get very good contact. This is called a dribbler, and somebody can pick it up, but it's still hard sometimes to make it out on these plays. The next one is a chopper. A chopper is, again, a ground ball, but in this case, the batter hits the top of the ball, and the ball goes almost straight down onto home plate or in the dirt right in front of home plate and bounces really high up in the air. Sometimes this can be confusing because it actually looks like a pop fly, but in reality it hit the ground first and it's a ground ball. The next one is called a ground ball, but this is usually reserved for something that's hit pretty sharply, and it hits the ground and it bounces along the ground surface, either to be fielded by one of the infielders or sometimes it makes it through the infield. The next type of hit is a line drive. This is a type of hit where the batter hits the ball squarely with the bat, and it goes back into the field really fast, like a laser beam. Sometimes this can be hit right at one of the fielders, and sometimes it can make it in between the fielders. But the key here is it's hit in the air, and it's not hit very high. The next type of hit is a pop-up. A pop-up is the exact opposite of a chopper. The chopper was where they hit the top of the ball and hits the ground right away. A pop-up, they hit the bottom of the ball and goes almost straight up into the air, usually staying in the infield. And these balls can be caught in the air for an out. The next one is a fly ball. A fly ball is again hit into the air, but it's hit a little bit better so that the ball actually goes a fair distance into the outfield, and often can be either tracked down by an outfielder for an out, or it can land in between outfielders in one of the gaps. The last one I'm going to talk about is the home run. And the home run is when a ball is hit into the air, so it is technically a fly ball, but it's hit well enough and far enough that it actually clears the outfield fence and into the stands.
Swing and a fly ball into deep right center field. Fly away!
So now that we've mentioned the different ways that the ball can be hit, we're going to talk about now the different types of hits that batters can achieve. The first one is a single. And a single, by definition, is a hit where the batter reaches safely at first base and he stays at first base. Now, singles can happen from any type of hit: a bunt, a dribbler, a line drive, even a fly ball that lands in front of an outfielder. But the key here is that the runner gets to first safely and he stays at first base. Now, often singles involve plays at first base that are really close to outs. And this happens when ground balls are hit to infielders and the infielder tries to throw to first base to get an out. I'm going to show this here real quick because it shows the difference in these videos between when a batter just barely beats a ball to first base and so he's safe and gets a single, and in this video you can see the umpire making a safe signal showing that the batter is safe. In this video, the same type of play can happen, but the ball barely beats the runner to the base and the batter is then out, and the umpire makes this signal as an out. In the case that the batter has beaten the ball to the base, then he is safe and he has a single. Now, an interesting tidbit about first base is that this is the only base where the batter can actually run through or past the base and still be safe. This is because the runner is trying to run their fastest to beat that ball to the base, and to avoid injuries, we actually allow the runner to run through the base. Now, the batter has to stay in foul territory once he's past the base to be able to come back to first base. If he makes even one step towards second base, it's considered that he's advancing to second base and he can be tagged for an out. Once the batter is safe at first base with a single, he then stays on first base and waits for the next hitter to see what happens. After the single, the next type of hit is a double. Now, a double is usually hit either a little bit further than a single or to an area where the fielders are not nearby. This can happen quite often either by hitting a ground ball directly down the first base or the third base foul lines and past the first and third baseman to a point where the outfielder is really far away and has to run a long distance to go get the ball. It can also happen when a fly ball is hit into a gap between outfielders and the outfielders cannot run it down. Now, a double by definition is when a hitter is safe at first base, but they choose to try to advance to second base because they think that they can arrive at second base before the ball does. These often involve tag plays, where the runner, if he can beat the throw and the ball to second base, then he's safe. But if that ball can actually be thrown to second base, caught, and a tag applied to the runner before the runner gets to the base, then he's out. After a double, the next type of hit is a triple. And a triple is essentially the same thing as a double. All the same aspects, except now the runner thinks that instead of second base, they can actually make it to third base before the ball can get there. Triples are pretty rare in Major League Baseball, but they can happen. They usually happen with one or multiple of these three factors. Either a really fast runner that can make it all the way around to third base, a ball hit deep into right field because right field is the furthest position from third base to make a throw, or an outfielder can sometimes slip a little bit when retrieving the ball and give that runner an extra little bit of time to be able to make it to third base. Now, the next type of hit is a home run. And we've mentioned a home run a couple times, but in reality here there's two different types of home runs. The first type of home run is an inside the park home run, and the other type of home run is the outside of the park home run, which is the more typical. Now, the inside the park home run is really rare, and it's essentially the same thing as a double and a triple, except the runner can actually make it all the way around the bases back to home plate before the ball does. That's why this is so rare. And it usually happens with two or more of the following things: the fastest runners in the league, a ball that's hit really deep into the outfield, and a defender that either slips or loses track of the ball. For example, if it hits off of the wall and bounces really far away from the fielder so that he has to run a long way to get it. So these things don't happen very often, but when they do, they're super exciting to see an inside the park home run. Now, the outside the park home run is the more generic version that we see more often. And this is when the ball is hit so hard and so far that it actually clears the outfield fence. The key here is it has to clear the outfield fence in the air. If it hits the front of the wall and bounces back onto the field, it's still in fair play and the fielder can pick it up and play the ball. But if the hit clears the outfield fence, then it is automatically a home run. If it hits the stands and bounces back into the field of play, it's still a home run because it cleared that fence in the air. So the last type of hit that I'm going to talk about is the ground rule double. Now, a ground rule double is when an umpire actually tells a batter that they have to stop at second base or they have to go back to second base. These are pretty unusual, but it happens when a ball is hit into fair territory and then it actually bounces outside of the field of play. This can be either a ball that lands inside fair territory and then bounces into the stands in foul territory, or sometimes when it lands in fair territory and bounces over the outfield fence and out of the field of play. In this case, the umpire automatically tells the runner that they must stop at second base, or if they've already advanced past second base, that they have to return to second base. The last thing I'm going to talk about in today's video is the whole concept of fair versus foul. This comes up in hitting all the time, and there's a lot of confusion about when a ball is fair and when a ball is foul. So the foul lines we've talked about in previous videos, and they're actually lines that are drawn on the field with chalk. That way they're easy to see and they help the umpires to judge whether a ball is actually fair or foul. If a ball is hit on the ground, it's considered fair if it either stops in fair territory or it rolls like a ground ball in fair territory past first base or third base. If a ground ball then leaves fair territory and goes into foul territory, but it's already past first or third base, it's still considered a fair ball, and the outfielder has to go retrieve the ball and continue playing it. Now, for a ball hit into the air, that ball either has to be caught in fair territory or land in fair territory to be considered a fair ball. If the ball is caught in foul territory or lands in foul territory, then it's considered a foul ball. Now, the interesting thing to note again about foul balls, if they're caught in the air in foul territory, they are considered an out. But if they land in foul territory, it is not considered a hit, and the batter cannot reach base safely from that. Now, the foul line itself is considered to be in fair territory. So if a ball rolls on the foul line and stops on the foul line, it is a fair ball, and that runner can be safe, or they can throw it to first base for an out. In the outfield, if a fly ball lands on the foul line, then it is a fair ball. And this is a really important reason that they actually use chalk, because the umpires, if they're nowhere near where that ball lands, they can actually sometimes see the dust from the chalk rise up into the air once the ball hits it, and that way the umpire knows for sure that it was actually a fair ball. In the infield, the fielders can wait for a ball to continue or stop rolling to find out if it's going to be fair or foul. This happens sometimes where fielders just stand around and watch the ball roll. Sometimes it works, like in this video, and sometimes it doesn't. The last thing I'll talk about with fair versus foul are the foul poles. These are poles that are mounted onto the outfield wall to help determine if a home run is fair or foul. The foul pole is an extension of the foul line itself. So if the foul line is considered fair, then the foul poles are also considered fair. So a fly ball that clears the outfield fence and hits a foul pole is considered a home run, no matter where it lands, whether it lands back on the field of play, in the stands fair, or in the stands foul. If it hits that foul pole, it's automatically a home run. And we can see a dramatic video of one of the most famous home runs in baseball history. This was captured in movies like Good Will Hunting to tell the story of how important baseball can be in our lives. And in this case, this World Series home run was hit, and the ball hit the foul pole and was considered a home run, so the Boston Red Sox won the game.
Home run! We will have a seventh game in this 1975 World Series. A lot of body English for Carlton Fisk. Watch him. How many steps does he take? One. He waits to see it. Get over. Get over. He knew it. There it is.
So that is my video for today, talking all about hits and what happens once a ball is hit by a batter and lands in the field of play. Again, check out my videos that I've posted before if you need a bit more of a foundation about how baseball works. Innings, outs, runs, those sorts of things, the batter-pitcher duel, and I'll have other videos posted soon all about base running and things like that. As always, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, check out my links below, and we'll see you soon. Take care.